This mission log is the property of Proteus and is not intended for public dissemination. 10 o'clock. Hour 0.
This is Dr. Penelope Hunte, Assistant Science Officer to the project codename Ronin, aboard the USS Charybdis. I am logging hour 0 of the descent into the Mariana Trench in order to conduct a cursory investigation into the disappearance of my sister vessel, the USS Scylla, and its crew. While on a routine mapping dive at around 2100 hours last night, the Scylla vanished from our tracking systems without so much as a blip. This dive, like the others in the past several months, was issued with the goal of mapping a newly discovered system of caverns that penetrates the eastern wall. Based on our preliminary research, these caverns could harbor fossilized remains dating back hundreds of millions of years, maybe even billions, preserved by the immense pressure of the surrounding water. These caverns could provide easy access to these specimens, which could then be scanned and digitally recreated. Their physical recovery, so far, has proven incredibly difficult. This is a standard dive these days. There was a time when humanity couldn't imagine itself venturing into the depths of the unknown, but thanks to some international collaboration, the Scylla and the Charybdis are more than able to withstand the pressure of the deep. At the trench's lowest point, there are more than 15,000 psi pressing against each and every surface. It is truly a feat of technology. Even now, you can barely hear the engine as I begin my freefall, hundreds of feet per minute. At its last ping, the Scylla was leveled out at a depth of approximately 25,000 feet, and it seemed to be traversing the width of the trench in order to reach the western wall. Why they were taking this course is unclear, however, Hughes has never been good at sticking to plans. Presuming that this was simply a software malfunction, I am to find the vessel and facilitate the crew's safe return to the surface world. They have enough oxygen to last them several more days, but of course, the sooner they are recovered, the better. In the case of mechanical error, I am to determine whether or not any of the data collected by those aboard is salvageable. At that depth, there unfortunately wouldn't be anything left to return to the families. If there was something like a hull breach, the end would come catastrophically and mercifully quick. I am to keep a log of my descent. In order to preserve this record, my logs will be uploaded to an external black box that will deploy emergency flotation devices in case of any more software issues. I look outside now and I still see the light of the sun filtering through the water as I fall. It's blue today.
$11 o'clock. Hour 1. Depth 13,500 feet.
About an hour has gone by and I've sunk in past 12,000 feet. I should arrive at the correct depth of the trench within the next hour. This is the midnight zone, something I reached within the first half hour of my descent. Thanks to the hydroplanes on the roof of the vessel, I'm falling several hundred feet per minute, all the while the submarine is adjusting for the ever-rising pressure outside of these walls. It doesn't creak with effort. It is entirely unwavering in the face of the certain and crushing waters. I should feel safe in this metal bubble. I helped build the blasted thing. It's so dark out there. I'm feeling a bit cold, but I think Hughes socked a blanket in here somewhere. I'm not quite alone yet. The Midnight Zone is home to many of the public's favorite sea creatures. Octopi, eels, anglerfish. To survive without the light of the sun ever refracting against your flesh is a wonder. It isn't academic curiosity that makes me wonder whether these creatures have the capacity to envy those who adapted to live just a few hundred feet overhead. doomed to forever look up at the dark and cascading shadows of smaller, weaker fish, assuming they can see at all. Many of the creatures down here have no need for something as trivial as sight. They feel everything, and they survive. The fish up there, where there's food and shelter and community, they could not withstand the conditions here. Assistant Science Officer. This was my project. Groundbreaking research like this, a glimpse into the past of this rock floating through space, and Hughes stole it out from right under me and acted as though he was doing me a favor by naming me his assistant. Did he expect me to be grateful? And now here we are. I'm left to clean up his mess because he couldn't stop for one moment. God forbid he actually listened to me, his precious assistant. I warned him that he was being too cavalier, too reckless with this technology and our people, in too much of a rush to win some award, rather than showing this place the respect it deserves. He might be dead now. They might all be dead. And I am alone on this ship.
12 o'clock. Hour 2. Depth, 25,000 feet. Logs to word notes. Penelope is shrouded in dim light, solely illuminated by the overheads of the submarine. She is clearly shivering, despite being bundled up in multiple blankets.
I have finally breached 25,000 feet. The darkness outside is choking, only broken by the thin beams of the spotlights that do far too little to give me a clear view of anything. Part of me wonders if this is worthwhile having them on at all. But if there's even the smallest chance that the others are alive, then perhaps they will be a beacon and they can give me a sign. The lights outside were never intended for navigation anyway. They're just here to help the cameras. These vessels are equipped with some of the best sonar technology in the world, and thankfully, they can pretty much pilot themselves. I always told myself that I would learn how, but there was just never enough time. And that wasn't my fault. I would have been happy to go on the dives. I wanted to go on the dives, but Hughes never let me. Needed someone to keep things in order on the surface world, he said. What a liar. I was the only one who understood the purpose behind this project. For him, this was just fun. Fun! He should have known better. He should have just listened to me.
1 o'clock. Hour 3. Depth, 30,000 feet.
The public will never hear this recording. Any of these recordings, so let me speak plainly. Whatever government-paid schmuck listens to these, you are going to hear me. There's a reason why they sent me, and me alone, to conduct this mission. No one really believed that those people are still alive. This is not a rescue mission, this is a tour of the graveyard. The meager attempt they will use to quell the PR nightmare that is losing an entire team of scientists in the deepest parts of the world. A way to say, hey, we tried, but there was just nothing we could do. It's too dark, too deep. Maybe humanity will learn a lesson from this and do better next time. Send robots next time. Keep those precious human lives above the unbroken surface. I told them that there was no reason to send manned missions down here. That it was Hughes' arrogance and that it would just bite him in the ass when something happened. There's nothing alive here. Nothing but single-celled amoebas that are simply too stupid to die properly. It is so cold.
Time. Unknown. Depth. Unknown.
It's sort of beautiful, isn't it?
Time. Unknown. Depth. Unknown. Logs to word notes. The camera is worthless. All lights are off. There is nothing to see but complete and utter darkness.
I wonder if this is how he felt towards the end. If he sensed it as I do, or if he was just nothing more than the frog, carelessly taking a bath in the pot as the water slowly reached a scalding boil. I'm sure he was the frog. Maybe I am too. It's a strange feeling. I was so cold before, but now I feel nothing. Maybe I'm finally numb. Stranger still is knowing that just a few hours ago was the last time I would see the sun, feel its warmth as it too scalded me. Yes, I was the frog. I see it now. Coming here, it was the true escape. The freedom that I've been so desperate for. Unburdened by sight and anger and envy. There's nothing here, and I am become it. There's nothing out there. Hughes would have sought to fill it with himself, with his arrogance, not realizing that it was already too full for someone like him. Nothing is not empty.
Time. Unknown. Depth, 45,000 feet.
It's alive. What are caverns if not veins? Capillaries as the trench itself bleeds into the ocean above, a wound that will never close. It speaks. I can hear it now, and it is so gentle. Gentler than Hughes ever was. It asks. How kind it must be to ask even after all this. It wants to embrace me. When was the last time someone held me without shuddering with yearning? An innate craving of something that was never meant for them. It does not take. It accepts with open arms, and who would dare resist such a thing freely given for nothing in return? To be held, cradled by the ocean itself. It's so simple. I just need to do one thing. I just need to open the door.
Addendum. The crew of the USS Scylla returned safely 2 days after their disappearance. A software issue caused their tracking beacon to cease function, as well as their radio. They completed their intended portion of the map with no incident and claimed to have seen no sign of the presence of another vessel in the region. The USS Charybdis was declared as missing after the recordings were recovered from its black box, which was found washed up on the coast of Okinawa Island. Upon further inspection, investigators were troubled by one glaring detail. The box's flotation devices never activated. Logs to word notes. Why her? Why not them?